Clark was just named Time's 2024 Athlete of the Year, and she gave her most vulnerable interview yet, even commenting on some of the most controversial issues surrounding her this year.
Because Caitlin Clark is the kind of person who cherishes her heritage and her roots, she just threw away her Europe contract. More than a pile of foreign currency. Nowadays, athletes, typically they are pursuing that large, fat salary abroad without a second idea. When there's more money on the table, who gives a damn about loyalty?
She admitted it here that it was so much harder going to the WNBA, but also that she was able to rise to the occasion and become a better player.
Caitlin, however, is constructed differently. She received an invitation to return to Iowa as the contract negotiations came to an end. And she chose to return home rather than flee to the coast of Europe. To be honest, this move most likely left everyone's jaw on the floor, particularly a certain person who is constantly discussing their problems with their paycheck.
The players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism.
You may be asking yourself, what's the big deal? But wait, if someone offers you the opportunity to perform in Europe, you're supposed to say yes, especially if the salary would completely outweigh anything the WNBA could give.
Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her, no matter how much they try to deny it. There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid.
For players like Clark, European contracts come with more than just numbers. They also come with some substantial opulence. We're talking about luxurious lodging, everything VIP, and a whole new fan base ready to yell your name. For the majority of athletes, it's like winning the lottery, a one-way ticket to fame and wealth that most players can't refuse.
She still fell victim to being in the middle of all of these controversies. So the fact that she saw some of that and she feels that way kind of sucks.
However, after seeing everything, Caitlin Clark declared, "No, I'm fine." She chose loyalty over luxury and prioritized Iowa over Europe. Just give it some thought. While the top players in Europe are making six figures, WNBA rookies are bringing home between $62,000 and $75,000. Clark is no different. Despite her Rookie of the Year success, her WNBA compensation is pitiful. In contrast to the money she could have made elsewhere, however, rather than going along with the crowd and making money, here at home, she witnessed something much more valuable.
Wilson, a two-time league champion and now three-time WNBA MVP, told the Associated Press she thought Clark's race was a huge contributor to her popularity. "It doesn't matter what we all do as Black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is."
When she returned to Iowa for a unique homecoming, everything came to life at Kinnick Stadium. Thousands of supporters, former teammates, and coaches were gathered there to support her. They weren't merely there to support. They wanted her to know how much she matters to them. It wasn't about a paycheck for Caitlin. It was about being there for the people who supported her at every turn and the place that allowed her to grow. She declined Europe because, let's be honest, this was a personal matter rather than a contract or a crowd. These days, loyalty like that is nearly unheard of.
She said, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of these players in the league that have been really good have been Black players. This league is kind of built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think that's important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate Black women, that's going to be a beautiful."
Now, don't even consider this to be a minor sacrifice on her part. Basketball in Europe is not merely a wage raise, it's a pass to everything a celebrity might desire. European clubs are exceptional to provide all the benefits you can think of in order to keep their famous names satisfied. It's a fantastic way for many WNBA players to get away from the back in the United States with limited funds and hectic schedules, in opulent places like Istanbul. They get to live it up. Moscow or Barcelona, and made twice or even three times as much money as the WNBA could, leaving that type of. It's not an easy task to balance lifestyle and income.
For 22 plus years, they had been flying commercial. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights.
Why, then, did Clark leave? Because her bond with Iowa is rooted in family rather than just basketball. Her return home wasn't a marketing gimmick. IT was a reunion full with memories and love, her former colleagues included. After years of playing together, Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin are ready with hugs and giggles. Lisa Blooder, her coach, more of a mentor than anything else, couldn't contain her pride. This was not a group. Family was involved. Caitlin declining Europe in order to maintain these ties. That's a declaration, not just loyalty.
A rising tide lifts all boats. She's trying to be the rising tide that lifts the boats.
In order to remain near Iowa, Caitlin Clark declined a multi-million-dollar opportunity in Europe. It was a daring, heartfelt decision rather than merely a casual one. The Hawkeye Nation has always been there for her, and this was her way of saying, I'm staying around for you because you stood by me.
And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. She's been scratched in the eye. And I mean, all this is on camera. We've covered it repeatedly on the show.
The bond with Hawkeye Nation was extremely valuable to Caitlin. These spectators weren't merely observing. They were her people, almost like a second family in her games, and Kinnick Stadium, where she returned home, told it all. Thousands of admirers, dressed in black and gold, crowded the stands with signs bearing her name and number as if to greet her. Let's be honest, she is a local legend. IT was a sea of well-known faces, not just a crowd applauding. Those who had supported her from the moment she made her debut at Carver Hawkeye Arena, selecting Iowa over Europe was. Caitlin's links to her hometown go much beyond a contract, so it's important to honor those roots.
She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn. But clearly things are on an upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it.
Nor did this loyalty appear out of the blue. Every game and every NCAA record-breaking occasion had been witnessed by Iowa supporters. And even after she signed a WNBA contract with the Indiana Fever, they blasted social media with her and planned viewing parties, highlights, and made long trips to witness her performance. Hawkeye supporters ensured Caitlin felt the support from her hometown, even on the national stage. Caitlin was aware that such a loyal fan base is uncommon.
I asked y'all all of these years before she came along. Who denied you the acclaim and the allure and the profits you richly deserved? But you don't take that out on Caitlin Clark. Not her.
And the fans weren't the only ones. Reuniting with those who influenced her life, such as her comrades Gabby Marshall, was her homecoming. Along with Kate Martin, they were her people, her in it together gang, who had accompanied her on all of her highs and lows. This served as a reminder of what they had created together on that court rather than merely being a catch-up. Additionally, her coach, Blooder Lisa, she is guiding Caitlin as she changes from a starry-eyed freshman to a WNBA player. Stronghold. Not only was it heartwarming for the supporters to see her return to Kinnick, but it was also a turning point for Blooder, who had a very different perspective on Caitlin's achievement.
WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings. She's directly responsible. And people were resenting her for it, like she was the cause of the problems that they had for the lack of recognition. No, she just happened to be born white.
Money cannot purchase the friendships, memories, loyalty, or any of these things. The relationships that Caitlin has formed are irreplaceable. Thus, even though other players may be leaving for a higher salary abroad, Caitlin's choice served as a stark reminder that some things are more valuable than money, such as roots and loyalty. Equilibrium. Even winning Rookie of the Year didn't change that about her, with the attention of the WNBA on her. Wherever the money was, Caitlin could have gone. However, she returned to Iowa, maintaining her connections and, above all, she felt at home. Maintaining this level of grounding, in today's sports world, it's essentially unheard of. where an athlete might be quickly taken away by fame and wealth. However, Caitlin views Iowa as more than just a location on the It's home on the map, and the individuals who have helped her along the way, from ardent supporters to teammates, make it indispensable.
From the bench, she said, I don't even know if she really knew what happened. Honestly, I don't think she was cheering because somebody hit me. I really don't think that would be the case.
Additionally, if you're new to basketball and only joined the frenzy because of Caitlin Clark, fasten your seatbelts because you've missed an incredible journey. Back when she was Hawkeye, there were many incredible events throughout Caitlin's stay with Iowa that elevated the program to a whole new level. That we're talking about accomplishments like her triple-doubles, which she accomplished 3 times in 2022 to 2023.